What they eat yesterday for breakfast.
Testing, testing. Yeah, yeah. Sí sirve.
I want to call to order the meeting of the Traffic Commission, the City of Montebello for January 29th, and we want to begin at 6:14 p.m. Jeremy, do you want to go ahead and do a roll call?
Yes, City Manager. Danielle Romero.
Present.
Vincent La Roca. Ruben Beas. Beas. I apologize. Maria Knox.
Present.
City Manager, we have a quorum.
Thank you. For the purposes of this first meeting, I think it's important for residents and the commissioners to get to know the staff that is being part of this meeting. So I'll begin. My name is Raul Alvarez, and I'm the city manager. Arnold? Arnold, do you want to go next? To introduce yourself?
Yes, so good evening, all. My apologies, first of all. I actually had this on my calendar at 7 o'clock. But it is, according to the clock out there, it is 7:15, so.
So you're really
to
late.
have that clock
So you're really late then. That's what I'm taking from the clock. But.
Thank you. Good evening, all. And first of all, congratulations to the Traffic and Safety Commission. It's been quite a while in getting this commission back in order. She's going to hide under that hat, but it's been the mayor who has been very much involved in driving forward this opportunity to have this commission back in place. It's been in existence for many, many years. Actually, the truth be told, my brother, who passed away many years ago, but he served on this commission many years ago. So it's a very important and prestigious commission. We want to welcome and thank you all for your service. We've had, do you want to do Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, before I want to introduce all staff just so they get to know the
Okay.
employees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm Arnold Alvarez Glassman. I'm the city attorney. With me tonight is Nevera Dukmajian. She is the deputy city attorney. She'll be actually probably in this chair a lot more than I will. And she is a member of our law firm, a senior associate with Alvarez Glassman Colvin, and we're very happy to be here tonight.
Okay. In order, Cesar, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Cesar Roldan. I'm the Director of Public Works.
Rita?
Good evening. I'm Rita Montalvo, Assistant Director of Public Works.
Mike?
Hi, Mike McGarry, City Traffic Engineer.
Thank you. Joseph?
Yes, good evening. Joseph Palumbi, Director of Planning and Community Development.
Chief?
Paul Espinoza, Police Chief.
Thank you. I want to welcome everybody as the city manager, and in the absence of a current chair and vice chair, I'll be leading this meeting until we get to the item when we actually designate those positions. As our city attorney mentioned, we are very thankful to have everybody join us, these commissioners. This has been a long time coming. It's something that both the city council and leadership has been advocating for in terms of getting this commission back up and running. We're hopeful that this new structure and this new this meeting being kind of an educational meeting, kind of getting our bearings in terms of how the traffic commission will work moving forward, getting a sense of the kind of items that will be coming forward toward your attention, I think will be very important. So we thank you for taking the time to meet with us. So first order of action, we don't have opening ceremonies, but we may in the future. Let's begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. Chief, do you mind leading the Pledge of Allegiance? First item is presentation. We will be having a presentation. It's an orientation, a review of commission duties and responsibilities, a review of Brown Act and related issues, and an overview of commission item processing. Cesar Roldan, would you be willing leading that conversation?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. So this is our first introductory meeting. We want to go over some of the information regarding the Traffic and Safety Commission, what our roles and responsibilities are. Excuse me, the City Attorney's Office will be speaking on behalf of the Brown Act and other related items of importance to the Commission. So as we were introduced, the Traffic and Safety Commission members currently include Commissioner Ruben Diaz, Commissioner Maria Knox, Commissioner Vincent La Roca, Commissioner Daniela Romero. Traffic and Safety Commission members' duties and responsibilities. The Traffic Commission shall have the following non-exclusive administrative powers, functions, and duties which are hereby delegated and assigned by the City Council. A, to cause to be placed any official traffic control devices for the purpose of regulating, warning, or guided traffic. B, to cause to be synchronized or otherwise regulated any official traffic control device. C, to cause to be established and marked any pedestrian safety zone or crosswalk, any traffic or directional lane, any loading, passenger, taxi, or bus zone, or any uniform or approved highway safety marking. To cause to be posted or erected any stop sign, yield sign, turning marker or sign, directional sign or sign prohibiting or regulating the speed, movement, or turning of vehicles. To cause to be posted or erected any sign regulating or prohibiting parking. And F, to cause the removal, relocation, or discontinuance of any of the devices, markings, and signs set forth in the subsections A3 of this section when the factors or conditions which warranted their installation no longer exist except where their installation of continuing maintenance is otherwise provided by ordinance or resolution. This is the Commission's standards for exercising powers and duties. The powers, functions, and duties set forth in the ordinance chapter shall be exercised or performed only after the Traffic Commission has determined that such exercise or performance is necessary to prevent or relieve traffic congestion, to ensure the orderly and safe movement of vehicles or of vehicular or pedestrian traffic, or to ensure public safety and convenience. In each instance, such determination shall be based upon one or more of the following: available traffic information or studies, field observations, vehicular traffic or pedestrian counts, established traffic engineering principles and practices, and traffic engineering surveys or studies. Now this section of the Brown Act open meeting law will be presented by Mr. Glassman, City Attorney.
And good evening, members of the commission. Again, thank you for your service here. I want to talk a little bit about the Brown Act, which is the open meeting laws. This is a body of law that's established pursuant to the government code. And all legislative bodies as defined by the state of California are subject to and governed by the Brown Act, which is also known as the open meeting laws. It's been a body of law that's been in California for over, well, actually now over 70 years. Interestingly enough, when the state legislature first adopted the Brown Act back in 1953, they imposed all of that on all of us on the local level. But interestingly enough, they did not impose that body of law upon themselves up in the state legislature. It reminds me of an old, most of you are way too young to remember a comedian named Groucho Marx, but Groucho Marx had a line that says, "I would never want to join a club that would accept me as a member." And so the state legislature said, kind of thought, well, we'll put it on all of you at the local level, but we won't do it, those of us in Sacramento or those of them up in Sacramento. But it does apply to all of you. And let me explain a little bit about what the Brown Act is. It guarantees the right of members of the public to attend and to participate in meetings of governing bodies. As I mentioned, governing bodies include city council, city councils, county board of supervisors, commissions, committees in some instances, and a whole variety of other governing boards at the local level. So going to the fundamental question, is the Traffic and Safety Commission covered? The answer is yes. As I mentioned, all advisory or decision-making bodies or boards created by formal action are governed by the Brown Act, such as planning commissions, advisory committees, task force, and other volunteer groups, if they are formed by formal action by the legislative body. Now let's talk a little bit about what a meeting is. Well, obviously tonight you're all gathered together. There's a majority or a quorum of the legislative body of the commission. And so a meeting includes any congregation of a majority of the members of a legislative body at the same time to hear, discuss, and deliberate upon any item that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of your body. So if you have, in this instance, we have a 5-member body. If there's 3 of you that gather together to hear, discuss, or deliberate any item of the legislative body, then that's a meeting. Does it have to take place here in the council chambers or in the chambers? The answer is no. So we always have to be very careful about how you communicate between each other in adhering to the terms of the Brown Act. Meetings can also include direct communications, conversations. If the 3 of you are sitting around at Starbucks and you are having a cup of coffee and you want to talk about commission business, that could constitute a meeting. It could also include the involvement of intermediaries or other technological devices. If you start texting each other or emailing each other or communicate through other social medias directly to each other, that could constitute a meeting. So keep in mind, communications are not just face-to-face. They can also govern and be governed by other electronic communications. And a meeting can also take place where you're not making any decisions, just having a conversation, discussing or deliberating over things, but no decision needs to be made in order for a meeting to take place. And gathering also where a majority of its members merely receive information or discuss their views. So those are all meetings under the Brown Act. Next panel. We want to express some caution to all of you. That doesn't mean you can't talk to each other. Let's make sure that's clear. But you can. But if there's 3 of you there at the same time, or you use someone to communicate on your behalf to deliberate and develop a concurrence or majority of a viewpoint, that would constitute a meeting. Now, informal meetings would also, as I mentioned before, it can also involve when you're just gathering together in what may seem to be informal. Let's say you all, after tonight's meeting, go out and have, you go to Polly's Pie and have a piece of pie and a cup of coffee, and you start discussing what happened or what may happen in the future. That could trigger off an informal meeting and be subject to the Brown Act. Again, going back to the fundamental purpose of the Brown Act, it's to allow the public to have access to the work that you do as commissioners. The public must have an opportunity to come here to this forum, to this dais, and provide you their thoughts and opinions on items that are within your subject matter jurisdiction. That's the very key component of the Brown Act. All meetings must be open and public. All persons must be permitted to attend any meeting except when a specific restriction applies. That's probably not likely to happen. Agenda for regular meetings must be posted and provide the opportunity to directly address the legislative body. Again, your agendas are posted, regular meetings are posted 72 hours in advance. And the important element of posting the agendas is that you cannot take any action. You cannot take any action that is not on your agenda. Now, there are some, you may ask questions if someone comes up and gives a presentation or a viewpoint on something that's taking place within our community. You can ask questions, you can ask for clarification. You can even ask for staff to place something on a future agenda, but you cannot take action on anything that's not on your agenda, and you cannot do it by secret ballot in any manner whatsoever. Can we go back one? I'm not quite done with that last panel. Thank you. And there are reasonable time limits for allowing the public to interact with your commission. Generally, I think we're working at 3-minute rules. Let's see, yes, 3-minute rules for communication from members of the public. The Brown Act presentation that I normally do it takes about almost an hour. There is training under AB 1234, 1234. And yet for tonight's purposes, I think to get you started into your roles as commissioners. By the way, anybody here this evening of the commission has ever served? I know Ruben has. I've known Ruben for a long time, but we were both kids at the time, right, Ruben? Yeah. But if anybody here else has served on a commission where you've been governed by the Brown Act? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of no's. So again, can be a complex area of the law. We're here to help guide and facilitate. If I'm not sitting in the chair, Navarre is very well versed on issues of the Brown Act. So with that, are there any questions about what I've just presented? And I'm happy to try to address that on your behalf.
Mr. City Attorney, I just have a general question. In addition to Brown Act, are they subject to reporting anything that they do in terms of FPPC or any forms that
Yes.
they are required to submit in their official capacity?
No, thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. Yes, there is, you will all be requested by the city clerk's office to complete and file a Form 700. A Form 700 is to provide you an opportunity, if you need assistance in preparing Form 700s, we're happy to help there too. But it's to place onto paper and file with the city clerk's office here in Montebello your real estate holdings, your income, if you own any stocks and bonds that are not part of a investment fund, and any other assets that you may own. And the reason for that is because you're going to be making decisions on issues that could impact or be involved with property you may own. And the FPPC, which is the Fair Political Practices Commission, FPPC, that's the body that oversees and governs the ability of elected officials, members of legislative bodies, commissions, and the like, to participate in decisions. And so you cannot participate in a decision that may have a financial impact upon what you own. If somebody comes up here and they pay you a salary or give you gifts or things like that, those are all governed by the rules and regulations of what's known as the Political Reform Act and the FPPC regulations themselves. So, we probably will come back and have a separate training a little bit further down the line, give you a full AB 1234 training. I just did one for one of my other cities. I'm actually going to be doing some training this weekend for Independent Cities, which is another organization of local government. But thank you very much. Yes, if you see something that's on your agenda that may be within 500 feet of property that you own, 500 feet is the key component. Please check with our office. Please check with Caesar to make that inquiry as to whether or not you can or should not participate in those decisions. And with that, I'll turn it back over to who gets it now. I think it's going to be staff communications or public comment.
We still have a little bit more in the presentation, right, Cesar? Or no? No, is this it? Yeah? Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. So our designated officers and employees of the city, so earlier today we had Mr. Raul Alvarez, City Manager, present himself. Mr. Arnold Alvarez Glassman, City Attorney, just spoke. We have also Mr. Paul Espinosa, Chief of Police, Mr. Joseph Palombi, who is the Community and Planning Development Director, and myself, the Director of Public Works, Cesar Roldan. The Public Works staff that is going to be presenting for the most part on all traffic-related items, you have our names in there and our emails. And if the commissioners, excuse me, if the commissioners do not have this information, we'll make sure that you do get it at the end of this presentation, or I'll have Jeremy email each individual one of you. But in essence, of anything that's related to traffic, we will be doing the investigations, the reporting, the studies, and presenting that in front of this board or this commission in order for your consideration. So here are the three types of citizens requests. So we'll speak a little bit about each of them, which is my Montebello app, the city website, And of course, Public Works has a traffic request application form. So my Montebello app looks like this. If you have an Android phone or an Apple phone, you are able to download that from the App Store. The public is able to download the app and provide the city with certain issues or concerns that they might see throughout the city, and not limited to just traffic-related issues, but also streetlights that are out or bulky items and so forth. They do have frequently asked questions that the city tries to answer, so just in case the public has specific questions, they're able to find a response through the app. Report an issue using my Montebello app. So as you can see here, there are certain levels and different types of information you could actually click on. So you can actually obtain certain information or reporting or make the actual report. The City of Montebello website is here as well at the bottom. It allows you to provide with informational session as to what you are looking for reporting. What's good about this online business service is that it allows you to click and actually submit in certain information that's already predetermined and pre-designed in there, so you can look for it and then provide us with a location as to where the concerns are. And this is our traffic service request application that would be submitted directly to our Public Works Engineering Division, so that we could go ahead and look at your concern and evaluate the necessity for any sort of traffic-related study, or if it has to go further for additional engineering studies, then this is going to be what would be presented in front of the commission. So the roles and responsibilities of our Public Works team is to evaluate stop sign controls, traffic signal control, curb space management, speed management, parking management, time limit parking, no parking, and channelization striping. Keep in mind that the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, or MUTCD, is what governs the guidelines, and it's basically the bylaws by which the city traffic engineering team is able to evaluate and provide a recommendation. This is pre-designed by the state of California. A lot of engineering information coming in from the Department of Transportation and agencies such as Los Angeles County provide a lot of input into this. And this is basically our Bible as to how we come about in justifying certain recommendations for traffic-related issues. The stop sign control. So the stop sign control study requires data collection. Data collection includes traffic volume counts, collision history, field observation, site distance study, and of course utilizing the MUTCD to make sure that it warrants the installation of a stop sign. An always stop sign control warrants. So based on the MUTCD, there are A, B, C, D, E warrants that have to, that the engineering staff has to go through in order to determine whether or not it meets the minimum qualifications for the installation of a stop sign. And just because it actually satisfies a majority or all of the warrants doesn't necessarily mean that it requires the installation of the traffic control device, either for yield or stop signs. But do keep in mind that there is also engineering judgment that will be utilized in the evaluation of the traffic control device that may be installed. And so this final determination will be presented in front of you as we make recommendations to the commission. Traffic signal control. So again, we are looking to collect traffic volume counts, collision history, make observations out in the field, check for sight distance, and ensure that there's adequate spacing at the intersection. And again, this goes through the MUTCD to make sure that warrants are met in order to install the traffic signal. So this is section 4C.01 of the MUTCD. These are 9 items of importance with regards to the traffic signal warrants. And again, as previously stated, satisfying all or 9 of these warrants doesn't necessarily mean that the city is going to be installing the traffic signal. But again, the recommendations would be made in front of the commission, and at which point the commission is able to discuss and provide direction to staff. Keep in mind that a lot of these also require certain funding, because the installation of a traffic signal at this point is roughly between $750,000 to $1 million when it comes to design and construction. Curb space management. So we're looking at disabled parking spaces for blue curb space, short-term temporary, which is green curb space, commercial loading at yellow curb. The white zone is for the loading and unloading of passengers. Sustainable curb space management includes looking at parklets, bike share scooter parking, and electric vehicle parking. So our on-street disabled parking space guidelines. This one is of the utmost importance because there are a lot of the residents in our community, as they either care for somebody or they themselves are using or have obtained a disabled placard from the state of California. This is the criteria by which we are going to be looking at determining whether or not it warrants the installation of an on-street disabled parking space. So obviously the disabled person placard or plates has been issued by the Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV, to the applicant or the family. On-street disabled parking space will not interfere with circulation or safety of the area. On-street disabled parking space will provide the most convenient and direct access to the home or business. And then the final determination is that there is no adequate off-street parking accessible to the resident or business requesting the on-street parking space. Speed management. So every 7 to 10 years, the city is required to do a speed study in order to establish speed limits. We would write a report, have a traffic engineering study performed, and this would be presented in front of the commission, and subsequently it would be then adopted via the city council. Speed feedback signs, speed humps or speed bumps, channelizing edge line, narrow traffic lanes. This is all information that will be presented in front of the commission for your consideration. Parking management, on-street parking management, time limit parking. So for example, in major arterials, we're looking at 2 hours for the purposes of having businesses have their customers come in and out, ingress, egress. We're looking for preferential parking permits as well. Off-street public parking management in business districts. Sustainable parking strategies. Dynamic parking pricing strategies if metered. Electric vehicle parking or charging in the near future as well. Micro mobility and or car share parking. For example, if there is an area in which there is a nexus by which certain vehicles will actually approach in a specific area so that they could carpool to work or other locations outside of the city. We also look at that. And then we're looking at obviously rideshare and retail food drop-offs and pickup management as well. So here we're looking at striping. We take in consideration pedestrian and bicycle lanes. We look at transit stops. We look at coordination with both Metro and both our local transportation network. This is one that we also receive a lot of requests from the community regarding speed humps. When less restrictive means such as traffic signs and speed enforcement have not been effective, speed humps or speed cushions may be considered on roadways with the following characteristics. So you look at, what we look at is local residential streets with no more than 2 travel lanes, roadways in 40 feet wide or less. There are no curves that would make it difficult for drivers to see the speed humps or cushions as they approach them. Traffic volumes between 500 and 2,000 vehicles per day. The roadway has a posted speed limit of 30 miles per hour or less. And then we are actually looking at the 85th percentile regarding speeds of 35 miles per hour on roadways with a speed limit of 25 miles per hour, or 40 miles per hour on roadways with a posted prima facie speed limit of 30 miles per hour. And that the road grade is 5% or less. And that the roadway is not a public transit corridor. We also request that the residents that are requesting speed cushions obtain at least 75% of the residents that front that street.
Caesar, can you go back to that one? I have a question. I don't know if any of the commissioners, and feel free to chime in if you have any questions or clarifying points that you need. For me, number 8, the roadway is not a public transit route. Can you explain a little bit more of what that means and why we can't put speed humps in certain streets?
So, for example, if there was a request to put speed cushions on, for example, Beverly or Montebello, that would be a request that we would not actually take into consideration because it's a collector or a major arterial or a minor arterial. So these streets actually allow us to egress from east-west or north-south, and it actually gets you to different streets. So for the most part, these are transportation routes that have either metro or local transportation. And for the most part, we're looking at adding speed cushions on residential streets.
I have a question on that one. Between Montebello Boulevard and 4th Street, we have requested that for many years. I've been living there over 20 years on that one block. We had a car go into the garage. Chief knows about that. We had a lot of things, had to go to court with that guy and everything. We finally got 2 stop signs, north and south, well, east and south, I said. That has helped, but I think they need a little light above it because you can't really see it at night. And it's still doing 40 miles an hour, 40, even more than that. I almost got hit the other day, same thing, right? I sit in my driveway. They don't see it, they're speeding like really quick. I'm gonna say quite a bit. So that was the only thing I had asked before, and they denied it, saying it was a reason because of the fire engines or ambulances, or officers want to go by there, that they can't see the bumps. Well, how can you not see the bump? It tells you it's bump right there. That was my question.
Commissioner, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was going to be one of my follow-up questions regarding a public transit route. There are streets that are designated for use by fire department, police, for emergency services. So sometimes those are restrictions where we can't do speed humps. But I don't know, Cesar, if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yes, City Manager, thank you so much. And Ruben, I do appreciate that. Part of the commission's responsibilities is to also come up and bring information to us as well. And then us as the engineering division, we're also here to educate and provide, feedback as to the reasons as to why we won't put in certain things. So in this case, it's been known for the fire department or even ambulances not to be in favor of putting in speed bumps because it minimizes or it adds more time for their response time. So, when they're coming to us and say, hey, every second counts in saving somebody's life, whether or not somebody fell or somebody's having a heart attack, but going through multiple speed bumps on a given street actually, adds time that they could be utilizing towards getting to the specific site and treating the individual that happens to be injured or, not responding, physically. And so that is something that we get. A lot of times the fire department and ambulances or even police department, they're not in favor of speed cushions. But everything is, looked at on a case-by-case basis. Not every street is the same. of course, and there's an opportunity for our engineering staff to review many of the requests that would either be brought on by the commissioners or by the public in general. Thank you.
I have a quick question. At the bottom, it says petitions. Can the commission bring up, if the commission receives emails or word of mouth from residents regarding their desire for a speed hump, can the commission recommend the installation of speed humps? And can the residents fronting the street, can they be notified and basically accept or deny the addition of speed humps on their street?
That's a very good question. So the way that we would go about that is if a resident comes up to the commissioner and requests a speed hump, we would do our due diligence and we would actually go and speak with the resident themselves. I'm hoping that we could have that conversation. And then the request would be that in front of that actual street, 75% of the residents would sign off on that. Because we've had instances where, for example, Ruben would like to put in a speed bump, and then one of our other commissioners lives across the street, and for example, she would not like that. And so we want to get a majority of the individuals buying into that, so it's much easier for us to make that case both in front of the commission, then subsequently in front of the city council.
I also have a comment or
Yes.
stop signs. Is there any plan on improving the current stop signs that we have? I've seen by Sure High School where they have a solar panel to have flashing lights. I noticed on Lincoln, because I walk there on Lincoln every day to the Acuna Park, and the 4-stop sign that is on Lincoln and Germain, which turns then into 19th Street, a lot of people do not stop there. And the letters on the pavement are actually hard to see, and the signs are not that visual. So I really would like to see improvement in the current signs that we have throughout the city. That's just one example, and I'm sure it happens a lot throughout the city. I also have seen in some cities where they have painted the post of the sign red. And I overheard a conversation of some residents saying, you know, in Cerritos, they have the flashing lights or the red on the post because they mean business. So I guess that means that we don't mean business if the letters actually don't even, are hard to see. And stop signs are just, regular stop signs are generally being ignored in many areas. That's the comment on the stop signs.
Thank you, Commissioner. So with regards to that, yes, so this is my 3rd week here, so I apologize. But I'm gonna make sure that our staff is actually making striping. It's really important so that, Arnold's not talking to me every week about some sort of incident because of our lack of, paint. But with regards to the stop sign, many instances what we will do is we'll actually make the stop sign larger. And with regards to the flashing, so I think that's a request that is made a lot by our residents. It tries to bring attention to the stop sign, especially if it's not well lit, or there's a long stretch and residents are driving faster or the community is driving faster. I think a lot of times with that request, it's really the funding that has to come in place. A stop sign relative to a flashing beacon or the red lights, those are about $3,000 each. And so, if we're looking at a 4-way stop, it's, $12,000 or so. And sometimes, we haven't seen studies that say that, for example, individuals are actually still stopping even when we put in, the flashing. What's good about that is that they are solar. And, Raul knows this about myself. I'm the type of individual that's going to be looking for funding outside of just what the city can do itself. And so areas around schools, there's always the ability to put in applications for funding through the state or the federal government. So, I will be working diligently to make sure that we get a lot of these areas designed and improved upon. And staff has taken notes of your locations. But a lot of times it's really funding when it comes to it. Yeah.
On the funny note, and not to digress, but it's related, we are beginning a public budget process where we're going to be doing 3 community meetings in February. In addition to, if you go online, we're doing our community survey, so you're more than welcome to provide your feedback. But what is important for me as a city manager, and I know for city council, is to hear directly from residents, right? Like anything else, as Cesar touched on it, there's not enough money for every issue in the city, but that's it. It's our responsibility to try to find that money, to try to find those priority issues and designate funding accordingly, right? But that said, that we're only one part of the equation. It's important for us to hear directly from residents. So I would invite you to come to one of our public meetings that we're having in February. We're doing one at Reggie Rodriguez Park and one at City Hall. Go on our website and our social media to kind of get more information, and we would welcome your feedback. Thank you.
Our next item is our preferential parking policy. So this is straight from the city's municipal code, which is chapter 10.36. And the city council shall, upon recommendation of the Traffic and Safety Commission or Director of Public Works, consider the designation of a preferential parking district for those areas satisfying the criteria established in this chapter, and may authorize the Traffic and Safety Commission to establish appropriate parking restrictions for a district. The city council may at its discretion designate by resolution of certain areas as a preferential parking district and authorize the Traffic and Safety Commission to establish parking restrictions for this district. Motor vehicles displaying a valid parking permit may stand or be parked exempt from the parking restriction established pursuant to authority of this section in the preferential parking district for which the permit is issued. The resolution shall establish the streets and boundaries of this district. And with that, we come to our end. Commissioners, I know that this is the beginning of something beautiful. And if there's any questions, I will be more than gladly to answer those questions.
I have a question. So for future, if somebody comes to us with a complaint about, stop sign or something, who do we direct it to, or so it could be brought up in the meeting? Like, do we just bring it up at the next meeting, or we do it prior to the meeting? How does that work?
Thank you, Commissioner. So you could do it either way. Like Mr. Raul Alvarez, City Manager, stated, you're able to present those items. We can't act on that day, but our staff will take note, and then we'll start that process. So, for example, if you have somebody's name or contact information, you could also email it to us. We have our email addresses there. For example, email it to myself, and then we'll actually contact that individual, have them fill out the proper format, and then provide some further instructions. Either way is fine. But as long as we have the individual's information, we'll take care of it.
I'd like to bring up an issue then. On Whittier Boulevard, where Angry Horse is, the crosswalk there, multiple people have brought up to me, and myself, I think it's kind of dangerous to cross that area. The traffic can't see the people crossing, and there's not a light, or you can't have a speed bump, right? So we discussed that, but if maybe there's something else that could be put in place that traffic can see the pedestrians, because especially in the evening, it's very hard to see people. And you're coming from Angry Horse or across the other way, and people are maybe wearing dark clothes in the evening and they can't be seen, and it's a dangerous.
But that was a good one, because that was coming up on mine. There's the one where the school district is, Los Angeles and Montebello, I guess it's. Try to cross there. You can't. It's hard. I see kids run across.
Whittier, fourth.
You run across it. It's just that it's getting really dangerous for the kids and the parents or anybody trying to get across. The lines there, people coming east, north and south, don't see it. There is nothing there. I've been places where they have the ground flash down thing. Okay, they have it there. They see flash. They know there's something coming. Someone's cross the street. Also, the one we did right here by was that McDonald's, where the light goes on when they're gonna go across the street. They push it. It was a good reason. And yet it was because all the people that almost got hit there. I've gone through that place there. I almost got hit. I mean, it's not just once, twice. I must go to a school district, back and forth sometimes. I'd run through there, but still, it was just another dangerous place there. There has to be something brought up with, especially with the kids at school. That was just my other one, location.
Thank you, Commissioner. So what we'll do is we've jotted down that information. Moving forward in our future agendas, you'll see items that have been brought up by yourselves, and we'll actually have them under pending. And then we'll give you an update, even though we might not have a formal report. We'll let you know that we're still doing the analysis basically based on, the presentation. And then we'll give you just verbal updates. And then hopefully at some point in time in the future, we'll come in with a recommended action for your review, and then we'll have discussion.
With that, and actually, I forgot we do have public opportunity for public comment, and should inquire if we did have any requests to speak to the commission.
So just, so do you, the presentation covered the items under regular business? Cesar, just for clarification, is that where we? Yeah. The presentation, did it cover the items under regular business, the ones that are stop sign requests, disabled parking requests? Okay, is that what happened? Okay, that's fine. So we did jump around, which is fine. If it's okay, let's go back to public comment. We didn't get an opportunity to get into public comment. So, Jeremy, is there any public comments that were received?
Yes,
Yes,
Mr. City
and
Manager,
before
we
you-
have 4 public comments.
And if I may, at this time, anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council should fill out a card, turn it in at this point in time. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and you would be able to address the commission on any topic within the commission's subject matter jurisdiction. And we do have 4 cards, you said? Okay.
Mr. City Manager. First off, we have Daniel Gonzalez, followed by Hambar Carmeraya. So Daniel Gonzalez could take this stand.
Mr. Gonzalez? Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Chief. I'm expressing concern, same thing about what the topic is, speed humps and flashing red light stop signs. I live on Loma Road. We tend to have skateboarders during the summer, maybe half a dozen at a time. They'll go up to the top of Loma Road and skate down and curve left onto Aldea. And that becomes extremely dangerous because in the morning and the evening, we have a lot of drivers that are trying to get to the freeway and they bypass Lincoln to Wilcox by turning right on Maple from Lincoln, left on Aldea, and then left at Loma, and then right on Vail going behind Sure, and they run through those stop signs. And so it's definitely becoming a hazard. We did, in fact, our HOA president installed many flashing lights on stop signs and reflective tape, red reflective tape on there, but we were told to remove those by I don't know her position. Her name is Rita? Oh, Rita, okay. I don't know what her title was. Sorry about that. Thank you. And so just want to put city on notice that something's going to happen. Because like I said, living there, we see people that walk on the streets constantly. It'd be great to have speed bumps. I think, Maria, you have speed bumps on your street? Yeah, we do. Okay, so we'd like to get speed bumps to slow down traffic. And like anything we can do to assist in that, please advise us. And again, the flashing lights, because we have a lot of, like I said, a lot of morning traffic and a lot of afternoon traffic. They'll just zip right through those stop signs. And with children and people walking on the streets, it's a hazard. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Next speaker is Hambar Carmaraya, followed by Betty Rodriguez.
You have 3 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us. My name is Ambar Karmirian. I'm the president of the Rocket Mountain One Homeowners Association. So the main thing, like Daniel Gonzalez said, we have issues with the stop sign. Nobody stopped on the Loma Aldea, El Camino, 4 stop signs. So recently, it's not illegal, but this was little violation. I put some little flashing lights testing. So Ms. Rita knows about that one. So believe it or not, 85% with my survey, the driver, they stop. It's not a bright light. You cannot see it at daytime, but at nighttime it's blue and white. With all respect to police department, the colors, everybody stops at night especially. So that was very safe, very safe. But some of the homeowners, I know who, by the way, reported to the city that the violation and this one, that one, and Ms. Rita asked me to remove it, have been done in 1 hour, not tomorrow, not after a week, have been done in 1 hour. So basically we are very good relationship with the city of Montebello, Park and Recreation Department, Code Enforcement Department, Parking Enforcement, Police Department, Fire Department, just name it. All of them, we are very good, with very good relationship. In 2018, COVID time, we donated 4,000 pair of gloves to the police department. So thank you for your service, guys. You are best. So what we are asking, we already did the application to put the flashing lights, at least on Loma, Aldea, 2 corners, and the Aldea and El Camino. The drivers fly. They fly, they don't stop. Even we have some homeowners, they don't stop. But that flashlight was miracle. So let's see what's gonna happen. About the speed bumps, we also applied in 2018 in June. So almost 6 years, nobody responded, nobody does anything. So we kind of give up on that one, but we're gonna work on that one too. Thank you so much for listening.
Next speaker.
We have Betty Rodriguez, followed by Mayor Scarlett Peralta.
Betty Rodriguez. I've been living at Racket Mountain since the very beginning, 1975. On the corner of Loma and Aldea. What a nightmare. Aldea? Yeah, on the corner of Loma and Aldea. I see all the traffic. The stoplight, the stop sign is here on Loma, right on the corner of my house. And on the other corner on Aldea, another stoplight and another stoplight coming down the hill. Today, I was coming here. I was backing up from my garage. There was a car coming this way, another car coming this way. Neither one stopped. They went like this. I thought it was a good thing there wasn't a car coming from the hill. This is a constant. The red flashing lights that Ham installed, immediately the people started slowing down and stopping. They work. He also put a reflector on the pole, and he did that within 15 minutes. The little lights just turn on. We're all conditioned, you see a red light and you stop. And that's what they were doing. The minute we were forced to remove them, the traffic started all over again. I understand there's a program from Google that makes our streets a shortcut. When it's school time in the morning, I do not go out between 6 and 8 o'clock because the traffic is bumper to bumper. And then after school, of course, their kids are picked up and it's bumper to bumper again. I don't go out because there's just too much traffic. Another day, I was backing up, this was like 3 years ago. There were actually no cars on the road. I backed up, and just as I was out in the middle of the street, I turned to see if there were any cars anywhere so I could turn. And here comes a truck, and I could see the driver on the telephone and not looking. I moved my car just enough where he just smashed into the back. Anyway, that's where I am. If for some, we've already put in an application and spoke to Rita. And of course, she told us that it's the money. If it's the money, we can temporarily put in our red lights. Somebody can come and see them. They work. That's all. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, ma'am. We have your address and information. City staff will follow back up with you. We'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you
When?
so much.
When?
As soon as we can.
How is it an hour? No.
No.
For 55 minutes.
Okay. I'm sure someone will reach out by tomorrow.
Oh,
By
okay.
tomorrow. Okay?
Yes.
All right, I'll give it to you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
We have one last speaker. Mayor
I
Scarlett
think our
Geraldo.
time is up.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, and staff. First off, it is an honor to address you on this side of the dais tonight. And I do just want to, first off, kick off this public comment by saying that I really commend all the work that's been done to reinstate this Traffic and Safety Commission to its full form, which was disbanded and I believe has not met for about 4 years. These are 4 years of issues being ignored, 4 years of traffic-related issues, safety concerns that have not been addressed within our community. And as we can see, these issues affect our day-to-day lives, right? When we drive to work, how we pick up our kids, how we get to our parks. And so I'm just extremely happy. And on behalf of the City Council, I know that we are extremely proud to have this commission up and running to address these very important community needs. This has been years of advocacy, and today we are realizing that. And so I'm also very excited to have commissioners from every district in the city of Montebello. Every district has its own unique needs and its own unique concerns. And so being able to have representatives from these districts is so crucial to our residents, all who are facing different types of needs within our neighborhoods. This space provides an opportunity for everyone to learn, to understand, and to work together to improve our streets and also implement best practices. Even just tonight, I myself, as council member and representative of District 2, learned so much in just the presentation that was given on parking enforcement. And so my shared vision is to just create a safer, more pedestrian-friendly community and address these issues within our neighborhood. Commissioner Knox brought up an extremely important observation as far as our signage and how old our signage is, and just how even just repainting or improving the signage can improve the safety of our streets, as well as Commissioner Romero, who brought up the crosswalk next to Angry Horse, and that is a crosswalk that our community has been advocating for years now. We have our night market. Sorry, I forgot can't think of the name now. The night market that we have there during springtime and summertime, and a lot of our residents walk from the night market to Boulevard Market back to Angry Horse, and I've been one of those residents who's literally scared to just cross that street because of all the incoming traffic through Whittier Boulevard. And so those are really great points that you all bring tonight, and just extremely proud to have this commission up and running. Thank you to all our staff, and just looking forward to working with you all in the incoming year. Thank you. Best of luck.
And that, I believe, concludes public comment period. We'll bring it back up to the commission for the selection of the chair and vice chair for this body. The way this process would work would be in as much as this is sort of your organizational meeting, if you will, there would be appropriate to have anyone nominate yourself or somebody else from the commission to serve as the chair of the commission. That does not need a second. If there's other nominations, then those two or more individuals that are nominated would then be put to a vote, and a chair would be selected. Then once that is concluded, then the same process would follow for the appointment of a vice chair. So with that, it'd be appropriate to open or entertain any name of a commissioner to serve in the capacity as the chair of the Montebello Traffic and Safety Commission.
I would like to nominate Vincent LaRocca as the chair.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, then all we need is to have a vote to confirm the selection of Vincent LaRocca as the chair for the commission. And I want to call the roll.
Commissioner Romero?
I'm sorry, what is the correct response for yes or no?
For the nomination, Mr. LaRocca is the chair for the Traffic and Commission. So he'll be the chair. He's been nominated.
Correct. What is the verbiage that I'm supposed to, for
It's
yes or
either
no?
Yes or no.
Yes.
Commissioner LaRocca?
Yes.
Commissioner Bias?
Yes.
Commissioner Knox?
And with that, we do have a chair, and Mr. Chair LaRocca, you can take the center chair if you'd like. Congratulations. And with that, it would be appropriate now to entertain nominations for the position of vice chair. And Mr. Chairman, it would be appropriate to ask if there's any nominations.
Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Ruben Bass as the vice chair.
Mr. Baez, is there any other nominations from the body? Hearing no other nominations, Mr. Chair, it would be appropriate to seek a vote for the conference of Mr. Baez as the vice chair.
Can I get a roll call or vote?
Absolutely, Chairman. Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner LaRocca?
Yes.
Commissioner Bias?
Yes.
And Commissioner Knox?
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
With that, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ruben Baez is, with that, Mr. Ruben Baez is appointed as vice chair. That would then conclude item number 2.1. We've gone through 3 through 6, correct, Caesar?
So items 3, 4, 5, and 6 were briefly discussed in our presentation. At this time, we don't have any specific items for discussion, but our traffic engineer, Mike, will provide you with a little bit of context on some of the items that we are reviewing. And at some point in time in the future, we shall bring them in front of the commission for consideration.
Thank you. For the record, Mike Figueroa, traffic engineer. The current backlog with regard to traffic-related issues are 5 all the way stop traffic control requests and 2 preferential parking district requests. So those are the mainly pending projects that we have in the traffic group. Any questions about any of them?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? What's pending?
There are 5 all-way stop traffic control requests.
Sure, okay. So,
And 2 preferential parking district requests. Yes. Yeah, actually, I should mention the flashing light request, flashing light request at the Rocket Mountain too. We do have that request too. We actually did an investigation on it, but maybe at the future meetings, we'll bring the item and discuss it. Just for what I heard from the community is that there's the classic case of shortcut through the neighborhood. And the solutions are really, will impact everyone, but boils down to turn restrictions. That's which, but again, we'll bring the item to the commission next time.
Thank you, Mike, for that. And then our last item is number 7. We just wanted to verbally just bring to the commission 2 projects that are currently on its way. Number one.
Cesar, sorry to interrupt. Before we get to item number 7, just because I know it was a little confusing, we went into, we basically covered items 3 through 6 as part of the presentation. If it's okay with the commissioners, I do want to open up in case there was some follow-up questions for these items or clarification that you needed from staff.
Yeah, let's open it up to comments or questions from the commission regarding those items that got a little confused on.
I do have a question as far as what's the turnaround time for a response for a request?
I'm sorry.
Or like a stop sign request, or what's the turnaround time that a citizen would get a response?
The turnaround could be from 6 to 8 months. And part of the reason is that we have to collect data, traffic volumes through a third party, and also retrieve collision history. I would say 6 to 8 months.
What's the initial response, though? Like, if you receive an email, you're gonna respond that day, or like the next day, or?
Yeah, I think from the day that we get the request, yeah, we could start the clock, if that's. We're working on streamlining the process at this point. Right now, it's, well, yeah, that's our goal. But it could be shorter. But again, I think the collecting traffic volumes, one of the issues you run into is you can't collect volumes on holidays or when the school is closed and so on. So there are some restrictions as well when the counts can be collected. So that could play a role in our response time.
And then, sorry, another question. What about as far as, is there something we can see on a website where potentially there's already been a request made, and that way there aren't duplicate requests, or like if it's already been denied or it's in the process of approval or something like that?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And we do have records of all the, at least the past 12 to 14 months since I've been here. We do have those records, and we certainly can locate duplicates. And if there are any, we'll certainly address it as such. Yes. By the way, can you folks hear me? I'm not sure if is this working? Okay.
Cesar, I think Commissioner Romero brings an excellent point, and I don't think we've, in my experience, we've done that, but I think it might be helpful to have kind of like an ongoing list for people to know if the requests have been made, and so there's not redundancy to that extent, or, I think it's something that we can work towards as a city. It's reasonable. We're already working on it. Obviously, within limitations of, what we can and can't share, but for the most part, this should be publicly available information that we should be able to provide to residents in advance.
Yes, Mr. City Manager, thank you. Commissioner Romero, yes, usually what we'll do is we'll actually post the agenda, and then we will actually post the items as well for future requests. So individuals could always take a look at the city's website under the Traffic and Safety Commission, and they'll be able to download future agendas and items that we've discussed. And of course, we'll work on the list to make sure that items that we have, looked at and reviewed in the past, then we'll actually go ahead and list those so that if there are a request for individuals that want to look for a specific item, and if they don't find it, we could always do our own research and look at the records. Or if we actually have it mapped out, then it'll be easy for somebody to look at a specific intersection or specific location. And hopefully there's an item that will be similar to their personal request.
I will add, this was the first meeting in 4 years, as the mayor noted. So part of it was educational, kind of informational, walking you through how the process is. But as we get into meetings moving forward, you're going to get detailed items, right? Whatever the issue is, with analysis, with staff recommendations. And as part of that analysis, we're going to let you know this item was brought before, to the Traffic Commission or the City Council 8 years ago, and this was the result. So you'll have context in terms of like, hey, we're not starting from scratch. This is what it was. Now circumstances change. Maybe dynamics are different for whatever reason. But in addition to having some type of list for residents to know what's outstanding or what has been requested, as part of individual reports, you're going to get a full background and analysis of what has been asked for. For example, we're talking about the intersection where Angry Horses. Since I was a kid, I know that that's been a problem in the intersection. I can tell you as I began my tenure, it's something that we've been looking at. Not trying to get ahead of myself, but we're hopeful that we will have some type of positive resolution in the near future. But that's it. Yes, these are things that are on the radar. You'll have context, you'll have background, and it'll also inform your decision moving forward, even if it's a new item.
And of course, residents or businesses that are making the request, they will also be informed of the item being present in front of the commission, so they have the ability to come up here and kind of provide it with their background and their perspective. So you could also listen to what they're trying to get out of the commission and staff as well.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Do we have any other commissioners have any comments or questions regarding stop sign requests? I'll go to Commissioner Knox.
No questions at this point.
Commissioner Baez.
No question.
We'll move on to the next item, disabled parking requests. Any questions or comments? Okay, no questions on that. Speed hump requests. Any questions or comments? Okay. Yes.
Sorry, I do have a question. It was mentioned that certain streets can't have the speed bumps because that's where the fire department and the police department go through. Is there a list of those specific streets that they wouldn't be eligible for? Because right when they were saying it, right away in my head, I live on Vale, and it could be a very busy street too. I live just south of Whittier, but as soon as they said that, I thought the police are always going through my street and the fire department too, and I thought that's probably one of the streets that would not be open to speed bumps. But I was just running for other streets as well. Is there a certain list that's available to the public?
If I may add on that one, so as part of our working process, one of the dynamics that we have in this commission is, this is why it's important for us to have a representative from the police department. So it truly is on a case-by-case basis, right? Again, you're gonna get a full analysis, whatever the request is, but as part of this conversation and the dialogue and us guiding you through this process and making recommendations, one of the things that you're gonna see, for example, if there's a street, in addition for all the engineering criteria that we've gone over, we'll seek the guidance of the chief, right? The chief will be like, oh, this arterial or this street is used as an access point for emergency services. So that is truly on a case-by-case basis, and we're hopeful that through this structure and having these key management staff here, we'll be able to inform your decision-making moving forward. But Chief, you're happy to chime in. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else on streets in general that are access points for public safety.
Yeah, and that is one street that we do use regularly, so there are a few, obviously, of thoroughfares where we'd say we would not recommend
Right.
a speed bump. However, on most of these issues, we can have an impact on quite a few. Obviously, resource-wise, we're building out. We now have 4 in our traffic unit, right? So we can pay attention to something like Loma and Aldea a little bit more than I could have even a year ago. And there are certain technologies we can implement, not so much as to a full traffic study, right? But we purchased some analytical boxes that would show us volume and speed for our own use here outside of engineering, that we might be able to place at a couple of these intersections. That way we could just get a little bit ahead of it, right? And it also helps me know where to prioritize resources, right? Or even, and a lot of times we'll find, well, no, speeding's not the issue, but it's the outliers, right? And the time of day when those outliers of speeding that are happening, so where I can focus my resources. But we can have an effect on that, and that's why I'm here for these recommendations in addition to like the speed bumps and other things.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. Preferential parking requests. Any questions or comments? Okay, we'll move on to number 7, projects.
Thank you, Chair. So item number 7, we are looking at Montebello Boulevard Grade Separation Project. Currently, the project is underway. It is the construction of a bridge over or under the Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way crossing at Montebello. Currently, we have Alameda Corridor East Construction Authority, who is overseeing the construction of the project. This project in this vicinity is roughly over $190 million with regards to all the infrastructure improvements, the enhancements, the purchasing of right-of-way, and the actual purchasing of property in order to make this enhancement as safe as possible for crossing. Usually the design, construction, and completion of a project of this magnitude is about 3 years. But we will provide you with updates every month as to what's going on, any sort of community meetings that might be taking place, and information related to construction scheduling. Usually staff meets with the construction team once a week because it's that important to our community. We're working with Alameda Corridor East to ensure that they provide us with outreach information so we can then disseminate that information here at City with our residents and community, and share the information with our City Council and City Manager's Office as well. Regarding item number 2, which is the East Side Transit Corridor along Washington Boulevard, this project is a Metro-funded project, and it involves cities like East LA, Montebello, Commerce, and Pico Rivera, amongst others. And the goal is for this extension, this light rail, to access a lot of the communities in this region, so that residents and individuals that are trying to go to work, they could take the light rail and depend less on our vehicles that take up a lot of our space in places such as our freeways and local roadways. But every commission meeting will have an update on these meetings, and if there's anything of importance, we'll go ahead and let you know. And that concludes that information for under item number 7 for projects.
Thank you, Director. So we'll take comments and questions from Commission. We'll start with Mrs. Knox.
No comments or questions.
Okay. Commissioner Romero.
No comments or questions at this time.
Commissioner Baez.
No questions.
So I just had one question regarding the Boulevard Grade Separation Project. When do road closures are expected? When do they expect to start closing roads or redirecting?
Currently, the team does not have a specific date. They're actually working with the construction company that's doing the work. In the near future, the next several months, they shall have a progressively more up-to-date information with respect to the street closures. Alameda Corridor East is working on a community outreach meeting that's going to be taking place sometime in February. And as soon as we know that date, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and provide that information over to the commissioners, city council members, and the city manager's office.
Thank you. I had a chance to look at the designs for the grade separation project, and there calls for pedestrian access to go under the rail line, but there's no infrastructure for cyclists. There's no painted bike lane. Actually, there is a painted bike lane, but there's no protection for them. So when drivers are speeding down, or presumably some drivers will speed, and when they're speeding under the underpass, they'll be catching more speed as it's going downhill, and that's a concern for me in terms of cyclist safety.
Thank you, Vice Chair, for bringing that to my attention. That will be a talking point that will be discussed at our weekly meeting with Alameda Corridor East. I just received the plans yesterday for review from the team, and so I'll go ahead and take a look at that as well. And that will be something that we'll present back to the commission at our February meeting.
Thank you. And I'd also like to say thank you for the presentation earlier. You included a complete street approach, which I think is a great idea in terms of making our crosswalks more visible through high visibility crosswalks, zebra crossings. I think we should standardize to more visible paint. Other cities use white, and in some areas we're using white, and some areas we're using orange. So I don't know the inconsistency. So I think we should choose the higher visibility option, whichever that is, depending on traffic engineering guidance. And also, I know we're working on the bike master plan. However, I think we should be more proactive and focus on and look into quick build projects for adding painted bike lanes in areas where it's safe to do so, and being proactive and basically allowing the community to experience this infrastructure prior to a long-term master plan. And also regarding the East Side Transit Corridor, as a frequent user of the E-line to downtown LA, so I get to Montebello by biking to the E-line station and on Atlantic Station, and then I take that to downtown or other destinations. So I definitely think that having access in Montebello to job centers like downtown will definitely help the community in terms of economic development, economic improvement, and help populations have more access to jobs that otherwise would have been unaffordable due to the lack of car access. That's all I have to say. Thank you. We'll move on to I think we went through everybody, but I'll open it up again and see if maybe.
With that, would be appropriate to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Sorry, before we adjourn, is it appropriate if I make a motion to amend some items to the next month's agenda? Okay. So I know I've in previous city council meetings, council members have requested traffic studies to be performed at certain locations. I don't have a record of all those requests that were made, and I know the director of Public Works is 3 weeks into the job. So if we can look into those requests from city council, because I know those were priority items listed, that would be great. And having those items discussed next meeting, and then a plan for performing those studies and looking at possible improvements. And also, if in the next meeting, if we can have an update on the bicycle master plan, any community outreach or potential meetings for that. I know it's probably still being drafted up, but just having some short updates about how that's going, and also just to get the community more aware of is happening. Some residents still don't know we're developing one, and just to get that out there.
I just had a clarification on the going back to traffic studies. So it's your understanding there was pending traffic study requests with city council that never came to fruition? Is that?
Yes,
Okay.
there's been a history of traffic study requests, I think approved by council.
Okay.
In the last year's council meetings. I don't know which ones exactly.
If just consideration before we take the step of bringing that back to the traffic commission, because really that kind of, I want to say that falls more under my purview. If you wouldn't allow me, because this is the first I hear about this, if you would allow me to kind of talk to council and flush that out a little bit more, and then, I don't know if we come back to the next meeting, but I'll come back in terms of like determining how that's played out, because I wasn't aware about pending traffic studies with council. If it's okay with you, let me go ahead and talk to them and figure that out a little bit more, because I'm interested in knowing what was pending and that hadn't been brought back to them.
That's totally fine.
Thank you.
Just wanted to bring that up because I know, you know, it was approved by council and I just wanted to follow up.
Of course.
And the last thing, if we can also just for the commissioner's knowledge, just have a history, if all the commissioners can get data on the history of traffic incidents in the city in terms of collisions, fatalities over the last however many years we have data, hopefully like last 5 years or so. So that people commissioners are aware of the hotspot areas in the city and make, in the future, we can make those priorities to address.
Yes, Mr. Chair, may I clarifying question?
Yes.
The collision history that you asked for the last 5 years or so, would that be with the citywide in categories of pedestrians and that sort of stuff?
Whatever information you can provide.
Okay.
You know, preferably pedestrian as well as cyclists
Sure.
and drivers, yeah.
Okay, but you're looking for a citywide.
Citywide.
History. Okay.
And if you can find exact intersections or areas, that would be good.
That I cannot do by next meeting.
Oh, that's fine, but if we can get like counts in general of counts, and then in the future meetings, we can look at specific intersections.
Yeah, well, in the future, we could look at the highest accident rates and which intersections, and then perhaps go after those intersections and make some changes.
Perfect,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. But for the first run, we just do the citywide by category.
Sure, great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, the engineer's correct. If maybe we build off, the starting point is the data, right? Like kind of compiling that. And then we try to narrow the scope just because as you're talking, I'm just thinking about the volume and really how in-depth that can be and trying to narrow down which streets are problematic, because some of it is subjected to that certain extent, right? But we need to make data-driven decisions. So I think once we get that information, we can kind of start narrowing down maybe and focus on the top 5, top 10 streets, and then just work off of that. But looking at globally, the whole city.
Yeah, the goal is to envision a future where we have 0 fatalities in the city, and over a select number of years, let's have a perfect record, and let's strive for that. I know we've had some fatalities in the last year and the previous year, so let's do better, and I think we can. So that's all the comments I have. Thank you. And now I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second. If there's no objection, you can adjourn.
Meeting's adjourned.
Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.